Anyway, we're live. So, welcome to the Trifecta Sports Podcast. We're the Trifecta Sports Podcast boys. I'm Frank. I'm with Coop and Dave. As always, we're here to talk about sports. Primarily, we've been talking about fantasy football lately, but we're going to start trickling in some other sports aspects and other athletic related topics. So, before we get started, I just want to kind of just see how you guys are doing in your fantasy leagues. Me and Coop talked a little bit. I know I'm only in one. Coop's in a few. Dave's in a few. Dave is our relative. I don't want to say relative, but he's our stationary dynasty guy. He takes care of all of our dynasty stuff. He's in a couple of dynasty leagues, but I want to hear from you guys. Let's talk about how your fantasy football seasons are going. We're deep in it. We're about halfway done. We're over halfway done with the season. So, what's it looking like over there for you fellas?
21-6 in 3 leagues. So pretty good. I'm having a pretty good year across the board.
Can't complain about that.
No. As for my update, boys, I think it's time to sell in the Bush League. It got real bad real fast.
Yeah, man, you had a great start.
Dude,
I thought you were going to be like, that Dave's legit this year.
3-0 to 3-5. I mean, I don't know how worse it can go than that. Everybody got hurt. Everybody sucks. I keep losing out on waiver wire guys. It's just bad. So in my other leagues, I don't have a record like I do in Coop. I know in my dynasties, I'm like 8-1 and 5-4. But then, I got 2 leagues. I pretty much have 3 leagues I'm going all in for the win. And I have pretty much 2 leagues where I'm holding on for some hope, might make a run, or I might sell if I lose this week. And then the Bush League, I think I'm going to start sending out offers to try and get some draft picks next year because it might just be lost.
Yeah, and we're seeing that kind of happen in our current league too. We've not done that recently in terms of selling, players for picks for the next year, but it's starting. We're not going to go over some details, but there has been one trade made already. Yeah. We don't need to go into it. Coop is involved. Weaver lost with Mixon. I just want to, I'm the Bengals fan on the show. Mixon has been a relative disappointment the entire year. Can't run the ball very well, or did not run. It was the Panthers. I'll give him that, but it's an NFL football team, and he freaking torched him for like what seemed like 10 touchdowns. The fact that you lost with Mixon on your team happened in our league as well, just so you know.
Yep.
And we have double PPR too, so like whatever Mixon made in your PPR league, double it. That's how many points he had in our league. So he had like 115, 113, something like that in our league. You just lucked into playing Justin Fields, lost by 1.8 points. You hate to see it.
Man, I'm so upset that I dropped him this year. Because that was my strategy going in. Like, he had Jalen Hurts light. That's what he looked like, right? It was the same situation as Philadelphia last year. The wide receivers were questionable. They should have an average or above defense, and the guy's mobile. And I just didn't hold on to him after the first few weeks. And my biggest regret of the season so far.
But you didn't have a reason to hold on to him. I mean,
yeah,
this is the Bears coaching staff's fault. Like, same thing with Daniel Jones. I mean, I gave Frank so much crap for trading Daniel Jones, but Brian Daboll is now using Daniel Jones as he is supposed to be used. And that's the same way with Justin Fields. Like, oh, wait, he can run? Wait, he can run effectively? Maybe we should do that a little bit more. And you see that with, 178 rushing yards this week. So it's nuts. I mean, I put in all my waiver wires for him. Just who knows?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In our league specifically, let's give you a little detail. We have a 3 quarterback limit on our roster. And this week alone, I've been streaming quarterbacks all year long. Okay. I've been picking them up, dropping them, picking them up, dropping them. It just so happened the 3 I had on my roster at that point in time leading into the week all had a bye week. Every single one of them. I had Jimmy G, I had Daniel Jones, and I had Jacoby Brissett. And then I got around to setting my lineup, and I'm like, damn, I need 2 quarterbacks, so which means I have to drop 2 quarterbacks. So I chose to keep Daniel Jones. And I ain't done, Dave. Listen, I chose to drop Daniel. I kept Daniel Jones, dropped the other ones. I picked up P.J. Walker and Mac Jones. And here's why I had to pick those 2 up.
Golly. I would pick them up if we're playing 7-on-7 in the backyard.
It was miserable. Listen, I picked those 2 up, and I won. I won this week.
That's so much bullshit, Frank. I picked up Ryan Tannehill because those guys weren't there. And then I had to pick up Malik Willis 2 minutes before the game time, and I was just praying my lucky stars that Coop just didn't pick him up and put him and drop him just to be a dick last second, so I couldn't play him.
And here's the reason why we had to pick him up is like literally no other quarterback that was on our waiver wire was playing this week. They were the only 2 that were there.
So that's a twofold problem, and I saw it on our draft day, and it was too late to change it. We modified our roster construction this year, and instead of doing a super flex league, which would have eliminated the problem, we had 2 quarterback roster spots, and it makes it difficult on those bye weeks. The second part of the problem is that you didn't look at your quarterbacks bye weeks.
I didn't draft any of them.
Yeah, but you still got to play the waiver wire a little bit with that in mind when you get close.
I don't, because I have to have them that week. Who knows if they're going to be with me the rest of the weeks? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
I will say, throwing it back, Andre Talby said it. I think I am now a firm believer in it. Draft everybody with the same bye week. Take your L and move on. I'm done with Roger. Whoever schedules these games, I'm done with them. That is two 4:30 games this week. What are we doing? That's not even red zone. That's just watching 2 games at the same time. That's not that fun.
Yeah.
And there's a question mark on the 9:30 game in Germany. Did you guys see this?
No, I did not.
That Ken Walker may not have a passport.
Oh, shit.
Like, there's been some questions come up.
I'm sure they'll get it worked out.
Probably.
Oh, you need a real ID. You just got to get a real ID, right? Is that how it works? If you're out there in the universe, I mean, that counts as a passport now, doesn't it? Am I wrong? I don't have mine yet.
That doesn't count as a passport. Are
you sure?
For the United States, we're going to have the real ID to travel, like fly. But you still need a passport if you're going international. But this actually happened to one of Kelsey's family members. Her cousin actually lived over in Germany, and his little brother forgot his passport, 4 hours away from home. And they just went to the passport store the next day and paid like an ass load of money to get a passport. So unless there's some legal stuff going on that we don't know about with Ken Walker, I would assume the Seahawks will have him on a plane as soon as possible.
Yeah, they have definitely an ass load of money to pay out for something like that.
Exactly.
I from a scheduling perspective, I don't know how you get to the Monday of the Germany game and realize, we got to get that taken care of. Dude's been significant for your franchise since he got there.
The amount of times I've dealt with coaches over my years, that falls right in line of, wow, we did not think about that one. That was not on the checklist to ask everybody.
I'll be honest with you, there's things like that. I mean, I'm a high school baseball coach. There's things that I don't think about like that.
But how many people do the Seattle Seahawks employ? Somebody should have.
It's probably
that or the NFL. The NFL should have been like, hey, guys, remember, you're going to Germany. You need to probably make sure everybody has a passport.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right, Dave. You're right.
I blame Roger.
He doesn't play, but just
he's
thought that was
play. What do you have? 130 and 2 scores last week. He's playing.
Yeah, that ain't bad. Quick shout out to our boy Jacob McCoy. Said he's a rookie. He's one of our friends from high school. 9-0 with his 3 best players, bye weeks behind him. Major beginner's luck. Listen.
Congratulations.
Round of applause for Jake. Appreciate the love, dude. Appreciate you tuning in. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you should probably go do that now. We're on the quest to 100. We're really close. We're like 10, 11 spots away, I think. 10, 11 subscribers. So if you tune in and you're one of the few guys watching, I think there's probably 10 of us watching right now. Holler at us on YouTube. Head on over there, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and share it out with your buddies. As always, we're here to talk about a little bit of fantasy football. So, did I finish my thought on how I won my game this week? Anyway, not only did I have every quarterback on my roster on a bye week, Jonathan Taylor decided he wasn't going to play this past week. Rashad Bateman is out for the year. So your boy's playing both. I played both Bears running backs this week and won. And I could have left one quarterback spot blank and still won. I had negative points from my quarterback spot from one of them.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Derek. I don't know how it happened. I had no hope. But I guess your team at this date and time sucked worse than mine. So appreciate the love, Derek. I think we now have the same record. There's two people at the top of our standings right now, and then it's back and forth underneath us. So I'm vying for that spot, and I got through this week with a win. That's big for me moving forward. I'll say that. And if Jonathan Taylor can get healthy, Jeff Saturday coming in, new offense, running the ball, dude. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Dude, that is...
What's your opinion on Jeff Saturday coming in and being named head coach?
Dave, you got this one.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, I know he's a center. The center is usually, correct me if I'm wrong, usually the second smartest player on the team or on the offense. So I have no doubt that he can run an offense, call plays or whatever. I just don't understand how we are now, 9 games in, 8 games in, whatever, and you're going to bring – I mean, he was a consultant to the team, which I'm sure he's around all the time, but it's like that's still not a coach. It's still not somebody that's been in the locker room, guys they're comfortable with. And now he's going to come in and call the shots. I think it's probably most definitely a tryout for him to see if he wants to get into coaching and be the next Colts head coach, but I don't understand it for trying to right the ship. I think it's a off-the-wall move.
I think it's pretty stupid, if you ask me.
I saw a clip of Bobby Boucher and Coach Klein. They were like Sal Mellinger and Jeff Saturday going over the game plan for first week together.
So here's the thing: you have assistant coaches on your staff who have been there. You have former Colts Reggie Wayne on your staff. If that's the direction you were going to go, why not hire a former Colt who has coached in the NFL before and take over?
There's so many issues with this.
I mean,
press
even Jeff
conference was
Saturday
gold.
Oh yeah, Jeff Saturday had some pure like sound bites coming out of there. He's like, I asked Mr. Ursley, I said, why did you even think about me for this job? Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. There's so many capable candidates out there.
Well, it's interim. I mean, it's not final. So
and I don't know if you guys watch the Kelsey podcast with the Kelsey brothers. It's hilarious, by the way. I see sound bites on YouTube all the time. It's Jason and Travis Kelsey together. Hilarious. And they were talking about, he's like, Jason Kelsey's like, I've never heard of anybody naming an interim head coach outside of the current organization. Like, that's never been done before.
Well, he was in the organization.
That was Dave's point, that he was a consultant.
Well, here's a question, too, from Weaver. He said, if Peyton Manning, would everyone be up in arms about it?
Yeah, I think they would.
That's the exact same argument, in my opinion.
I think they would, too. But I don't think offensively they would care. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're looking for, especially fantasy owners. Fantasy owner would rather have Peyton Manning in there because you know that he's going to work with the
I wouldn't.
I would.
As a Jonathan Taylor owner, give me Jeff Saturday.
But what about if you're a Pittman owner?
I'm not.
If I own anybody on the Colts, I wish they had kept Frank Wright. And not forced him to start a different quarterback every time they turned around. But I think the biggest issue with Saturday is if he didn't come from ESPN, the narrative would be completely different. Because he was an ESPN employee, right? All those guys worked with him. The first thing everybody says is, I love Jeff. I wish him the best. I hope they have success. But it's the same thing we talked about the last coaching carousel. the coaches in the leagues, the successful coordinators, are not even getting looked at. Like, Reich was fired, and 2 hours later, after a phone call that Saturday wasn't expected, he was a head coach of an NFL team just because of who he knew, right? And absolutely nothing to do with merit, nothing to do with performance. I think his only coaching experience is a losing record for 2 years at a high school.
2020, 2021, a high school in Georgia went 3-7.
Yeah, and it's like that doesn't mean anything because high school football is not the same sport as NFL football. I'm mind blown. Which Irsay is a character, man. That's really what it boils down to.
Him and Jerry Jones are up there, by the way. They're in a league of their own. But, I look at this as him being more of a manager of the organization rather than on-field decision-making. I feel like he's going to go in and maybe try to boost the morale a little bit, which is going to be extremely difficult, in my opinion, coming in from, like some off-field analyst position and ESPN anchor onto the field. And we've seen that happen before with, Herm Edwards going to Arizona State. That didn't work out, did it? He got fired on the field after a game this year. And Deion did the same thing at Jackson State. It's working out for him so far. He's going to have a Power 5 offer next year. But the NFL is a different animal. Like, those are grown men with families and lives to live. They're going to care about the money they make, and they're going to care about their product on the field more than anything. And if Jeff Saturday can't make that happen, if they can't go in and organize the troops and get everybody together and let the coaches do the coaching, which I think he has to, he's not going to know the offense. He's not going to know how to run the defense. He's not going to know anything moving in because he ain't been there. It's going to be interesting. And I honestly don't understand the move. We all don't. I don't know anybody that does. If you like the move, let us know why. But it's mind-blowing to me that they wouldn't just appoint somebody that's already there coaching.
Yeah, but it could also be the place where Irsay is like, this place was such a dumpster fire before. Might as well start new.
Yeah. I think that's what he's going for. And he said
Weaver said they're tanking.
It's an 8-game season. 8-game
looking
hire.
for a quarterback.
Hopefully longer. So they need a quarterback.
They're 3-5-1. They're not out of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Titans are 5-3. I mean, that's only game and a half, 2 games. So maybe Jeff Saturday will be the chosen one. Who knows?
It's honestly, it's crazy. Hey, I'm for hire, guys. NFL teams, if you want to hit me up, I coached middle school football for like 5 years. I coached a season where we didn't score a damn touchdown.
Wow.
I did. It's the hardest year I've ever coached in my life. I love the kids, man, and they worked so hard, we just couldn't get it done. Had a good time, though. Hey, that team went on to win a few games in high school when they were juniors and seniors, so they got better.
They got what they got away from you, Frank.
Yeah, it was me. I was the problem. I was the problem. Listen, coaching middle school, anything is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's the hardest job of any coaching. I think I would be a better college football coach than a middle school football coach. I honestly do.
Well, duh. College kids want to be there.
No, I wanted to be there. I applied for the day.
No. I'm saying the kids, college kids want to play. Middle school kids are probably just being forced.
Some of them are. Other ones are. I mean, I had some really good players. We just couldn't put it together. Anyway, that's my personal life. You don't care about that. Alex from YouTube, hitting up your question. Yo, do I start Cordell Patterson or Najee Harris at the flex?
I'm probably starting Patterson.
I don't trust any offensive player on the Steelers right now.
It's Falcons Panthers Thursday night, right?
Yeah, that's probably an automatic start for me after what Mixon did to him.
And Patterson, in limited usage, had a really good first game back from our.
Yeah. Who does
and Patterson was doing really well before he got hurt too.
Yeah, and last season, I mean, he's a go-to guy for them, and they're gonna run the ball. They're not gonna pass it.
Yep.
When they do, Mariota is going to complete none of them. So frustrating watching Kyle Pitts with the biggest wingspan in like NFL history
And most air yards.
consistently 202 air yards. He had 27 receiving yards. How do you miss a target that big and that athletic down the field? So they're going to run the ball, and they've had success doing it. I think they've hit like 150 rushing yards in 3 straight games. So Patterson, he's a high-end flex play, if not a locked RB2. Harris, I'm worried about him keeping that job. Jalen Samuels has been better. I think he's averaging like 5.5 yards per touch this season.
Talking about Jalen Warren?
Yeah, in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Weaver. That's how I remembered his name. Oh, I know he's in front of Benny Snell on the depth chart. Short guy, small guy, little bowling ball.
He's not getting a ton of work, but he is being very efficient with it.
Yeah, I'm Patterson all the way there. Hope it works out for you, Alex, my dude. While you guys are watching, if you guys got fantasy football questions, throw them our way. We'll answer them as best we can. Let's talk about the college football playoff really quick, fellas. The top 4 ranking came out today after an eventful weekend of college football. Alabama goes down. They have 2 losses now. Georgia didn't beat up on Tennessee, but it was kind of one-sided the whole time. The score is not indicative of the game itself. We say that all the time, whether it's an extreme blowout or a closer game than what it probably should have been. But Georgia remained at number 1, Ohio State number 2. They put Michigan at number 3 and TCU at number 4. Closely followed by Tennessee and Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have a list in front of me, but I think those are the top 6. Yep. So we know that Georgia is going to probably be in the SEC championship game. The other team in the SEC championship is going to be LSU, barring anything crazy happening, which I don't see that.
Or is it Ole Miss?
I said barring anything crazy happening.
Ole Miss is 8-1 though.
Really?
LSU and Alabama have 2 losses. I don't know how that works though.
Yeah, it depends on. It's probably SEC wins and losses.
Yeah, Kentucky's never been, so I've
Yeah,
never had to worry.
We don't have that experience. Anyway, Georgia more than likely is taking the SEC crown. If something happens that whoever they play beats them, Georgia does not fall out of the top 4. But how do you? Let's say it isn't Ole Miss. Let's say it isn't LSU.
LSU is on top of the West standings right now. They have one more conference win. They're 5-1 in conference. Ole Miss is 4-1.
Yeah, that's probably why. That's what I've been hearing. LSU. So, if LSU happens to pull off a win against Georgia, how do you keep the SEC champion out of the college football playoff? Never happened before. Georgia obviously is going to be in the college football playoff regardless of whether or not they win or lose the SEC championship. Then it gets interesting from there. Michigan and Ohio State, they will play each other toward the end of the year. One of them will lose. Okay. TCU plays Texas next weekend, probably a tough game. They more than likely will win out, so it leaves them in there. If Oregon wins the Pac-12, they have a chance to go in there. So things are getting pretty interested. Yep, it is. I'm telling you. Listen to any radio show they're talking about now.
Georgia
they're going to put
breaks off Oregon.
I know, but I'm telling you, if you listen to like the college football analysts right now, and they say, I don't believe it. They say if you play Oregon and Georgia right now, it would be a different outcome. That's what they're saying on the television right now.
Yeah, it was 49-3. I would hope it'd be a different outcome.
But I'm telling you, they're saying Georgia or Oregon is, if they win the Pac-12, they have an argument to get into the Final Four over an SEC team that does not include the champion. So let's say Georgia wins, they would put Oregon ahead of any SEC team other than Georgia to get in the Final Four.
It's
where the rankings are at. If you don't knock somebody off in the top 4, if they don't have a loss, they will go. I don't think you can leapfrog a top 4 team unless one of those 4 teams loses.
Yeah.
And we know that there's going to be at least one loss among the top 4 because Michigan and Ohio State have to play each other.
But once
But
Tennessee
there's-
plays out, they've looked like one of the best teams in college football all year long. But they have no other signature win to get them to the next step. You see
And
what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
think you don't put a 2-loss SEC champion over a 1-loss Michigan or Ohio State. I think both of those teams go over a 2-loss SEC champion.
I think it all
And that's a
depends on-
hypothetical situation too. I don't think there will be a 2-loss SEC champion. I think Georgia is going to win. But if it does happen, how do you keep an SEC championship, supposedly the toughest conference in football? How do you argue to keep the champion of the best conference out of the Final Four?
We want the best teams in the playoffs, not the team that had the best last game.
At that time, but think about what LSU's done. They beat Alabama.
They lost to
They've-
Florida State.
They've went on a run.
Yeah, but Alabama's
the
not the
hottest team.
Alabama. Alabama's not Alabama.
I agree with that.
So that's where it's style points. And I think that's where it's going to come down to, if Michigan, Ohio State is a drag out bloodfest here in a few weeks, then they're both going to be in.
I think so too.
If Georgia, let's say, Georgia runs the table and then beats the crap out of whoever in the SEC final, and then let's say the Pac-12 and the Big 12 all bow out, are we talking about Tennessee back in the conversation? Because they have style points.
Michigan and Ohio State both have a plus 250 point margin this year.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
And that's where I think there's 2 Big Tens. I think there's 2 Big Tens, an SEC, and the best of whatever team's best out of the Pac-12 and Big 12, whoever wins those.
If Oregon wins the Pac-12, I think they're in. They're going to put them in. And if TCU wins, they're going to put TCU in because they'll be undefeated.
What if
Kinda
they
like-
both win?
Well, then TCU will get the spot because they're undefeated. And people were thinking like Tennessee or TCU was going to be the only offense to keep up with all of the other offenses right now in college football. Anyway, it'll be pretty interesting. I get to go watch Kentucky versus Vanderbilt this weekend. I'm pretty excited about that. So my season tickets are
For fantasy purposes, I think we're looking at a great rookie draft next year.
Oh,
I think the
boy.
top
You're
half
right
is going to
about
be
that.
extremely talented.
quarterbacks, especially. Quarterbacks are going to be good. I
So if
feel
you're
like
losing in a dynasty league, go get some picks.
Dave. They will be on the lookout for that.
Oh, man. It's going to be great. It's a great crop.
Yeah. Trey from YouTube, we're going to answer this question really quick. We're going to switch gears back to fantasy football. Should he drop Butker for Marr? Kickers are more valuable in his league. They lose points for misses.
Absolutely. You're dropping a dome guy, or you're dropping a Midwest kicker for a dome. That's easy. I think Maurer is number 1 on the year.
Yeah. There's your answer, Trey. Appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and do that now. Weaver's talking about Kadarius Toney. He said he's fun to watch twice. Just need him to become a wide receiver 3. It'll happen, I think. Well, he in time.
So.
Have you seen? I don't know if you guys seen the TikTok where
Everything he does, man, is just like, wow. Like a slow motion route. The defender's looking the wrong way. It's crazy. He's knocking defensive ends like he's getting pancake blocks cracking down. He is just a freak if he can learn how to play football in a system, which is a huge if.
Yeah.
If anybody can do it, Andy Reid and Mahomes can. I'm really excited about him. I'm holding on to him.
Do you think he's going to be the Tyreek Hill replacement?
I don't think you're going to replace Tyreek Hill.
I know you
Nope.
can't, and he's definitely not there yet. But do you think he could get to within a shadow realm of being like that?
I don't
Or
think
haven't-
I don't think they want that in Kansas City anymore.
Well, they've shown that they can spread it around and they have many weapons.
Right.
Hardman is doing everything right now. But the other receivers they have, Juju looks pretty good. He's a career resurgence. Valdez Scantling the same way.
I think they want multiple guys that they can see shades of Tyreek in. You know, that's why they're bringing the speed in. Valdez-Scantling downfield. Hardman has been a lot of that short yardage kind of gadget stuff. He's got that speed. I think Tony is another one. He's more of a after the catch version of Tyreek Hill, but I don't think you're going to see one guy replace him. I think they want to sprinkle that all throughout their offense so you can't key on it. And they can do all those actions they did just with Tyreek, but do it with 3 or 4 different people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. Weaver's got another question about Kamara. I have not seen anything definitive in anything I've been reading about Kamara. I know he's been playing under the appeals process. Am I wrong? Is that right?
Yeah, he's been playing.
They're working out the problems that he's been having.
But there wasn't a video before, and
Sure.
now there is.
It's not looking good for the Saints.
There's always been a video. I saw a video or pictures of the video the day after it came out. I mean,
I didn't think it was out like before the season. There was just the incident in litigation. I didn't know that the actual video had been released until recently.
This is the Pro Bowl, right?
Yeah.
It might not have been. It might have just been pictures, but I mean, it was a group of like him and his buddies just beating the crap out of a dude at a casino. So I think he's screwed. I think
it's not a good look, and they're also talking about starting Jameis again, which drops Kamara's value because he is not the dump-off quarterback that has elevated Kamara. He's played much better with Dalton behind center. If they go back to Jameis, his value's dropping anyway. If he gets suspended, he has no value. So I'm probably trying to get rid of him while I can.
And throw that Taysom Hill up the board, son. He's going to have to do everything. Oh, good times. Good times in the world of the New Orleans Saints. If you're a New Orleans Saints fan, how do you gauge your mood on Sundays? You know, Michael Thomas supposedly is going to have a career resurgence, and then boom, out for the year. You know, turf toe, out for the year. Brian Robinson gets shot twice, out for 4 weeks.
If you're a Saints fan this year, you're spending your Sunday sleeping off the hangover from celebrating that LSU win.
No, yeah, you're probably right. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Boys, Kamara's done.
Did you just watch the video?
Oh, yeah. That's bad. It's like him and like 4 of the dudes just curb stomping a guy in a hallway. He's done.
I don't understand why. If you're an athlete, this is the pet peeve that I have. First of all, you're a professional athlete. You get. I mean, you've earned every bit of recognition and opportunity that you've gotten. Right? You're there for a reason. You're very athletic. You know, you've handled yourself in a way that got you there, that got you that opportunity, and you've earned it. Some of it may be God-given. Some of it you might have worked for. But why on God's green earth would you put yourself in positions like that to have it all taken away from you? He could be the next Ray Rice right there. I know it's probably not the same at all, but he could leave and we'd never hear from him again. Yeah, you're right. But he was at Alabama first. That's probably the reason why he didn't stay at Alabama.
He's Tennessee now. He's at Tennessee now, though. So they can't have nice things.
That's what happens when you wear that orange for too long. You just become like...
You get a little crazy in your eye.
Yeah, I just don't understand why athletes put themselves in those types of positions. You have a spot that is coveted by so many in this world that don't have the same opportunities that they have. You know, Kamara probably came from nothing. You know, that happens all the time. Like, these guys come from nothing. They don't have anything growing up. They've worked their butts off. They go through high school football. They go through college football. They get drafted. They have great opportunities. One of the best players in the league. He's going to hang out with some scrubs on a Saturday night and beat the crap out of a guy in a hallway. Why? Why are you in that position? Go home, dude.
He was literally there for his job is the best part. He was there to get his bonus Pro Bowl check, and now he might be done for the year.
Just going to fight a bunch of dudes.
It wasn't even a bunch of dudes. It was one.
Stupid. I ain't never been a fight in my life. You know why? I ain't never had to. Everybody likes me. Just be nice to people. They'll like you. You ain't got to fight nobody. Weaver, Dave, this is your question. Is Wentz coming back or Heineke all the way? First of all, I want you to answer this question. Which one do you want on your field every Sunday, Dave? As a Commanders fan. I'm not calling them the Manders.
That's fine. I think it's an easy question. Easy answer is Carson Wentz. I mean, the guy won an MVP. He helped take his team, put his team in the Super Bowl realm. He didn't take them to the Super Bowl, but he pretty much got them to where they needed to be to make it there. He's, like 6'5", has a cannon. I don't know. I like Heineke, but the past 2 weeks are the epitome of Taylor Heineke. He's either going to do something crazy and it's going to be amazing, or he's going to do something crazy and it's going to be really, really bad. We should have beat the Vikings this week. And, it's on Taylor Heineke for throwing a bad pick and giving them basically 10 points in the last, I think, 6 minutes of the game. So I think it's Wentz once he comes back. I mean, I believe he was a top 5 quarterback when he was playing and healthy, but it might be the XFL boys, might be him and PJ. XFL's coming back in the spring. Maybe they were just going to ride with them. I don't know.
I think
the
I would
lean the NFL. That's such a good comparison.
Yeah, it's 100% true though.
Living on a boat. Good times.
I think that because of the situation right now, they'll probably roll with Heineke, even if Wentz is healthy, because the draft pick that they sent to Indianapolis changes if he doesn't hit a certain playing threshold. I think it's 70% of the QB snaps on the season, something like that.
We talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah,
and it goes back around. And then also with the team up for sale, potentially, you want as many assets for whoever comes in to take that team over as you can. So
who's buying the team, Dave?
I'd be surprised to see Wentz come back. Yeah. And Jay-Z.
And there was a third that just got linked to him. I can't remember who it was though.
How funny would it be if Donald Trump just like, hey, I want to buy the Washington Commanders?
No.
Yeah. Jane says Bezos and Jay-Z. She also had a very good point on why I've never been in a fight before, because I've always been bigger than everybody else. It's not the case anymore, but
not every.
I'm rounder.
You were grade.
I'm rounder than everybody else.
She said,
"I'm not taller than
Frank."
Yeah, I was.
You had us through 8th grade, Frank.
Yeah, and then y'all
ain't gonna lie.
They had us in the first half.
I'm not gonna lie. I saw pictures of us. We'll get to that in a minute, Weaver. There's some pictures on Facebook that are circulating around of us, our 8th grade night in baseball, playing at that Clay City field. And I looked as miserable as one could look getting ready to play at a baseball game. And I kept looking at pictures, and it turns out I was pitching that game. For some reason, I pitched like every other day in middle school. There was no pitch count rules or anything like that. So I was like, man, I was probably like, man, get this over with. I'm ready to pitch. But I was humongous compared to everybody else. It was a good time. Anyway, DJ Moore had a really good week this week. I will say this, Baker looked better than him when he came in.
Well, he's supposed to.
And PJ Walker's starting. I don't know. I don't follow him. I'm sure Weaver knows. Is that like a for sure thing?
Yeah.
Like, has he been named starter this week?
Yeah, they're playing Thursday night.
He had a rough time, and I'll be honest with you. A lot of it had to do with him being put in a position to come from behind very quickly. Like, within 5 minutes of the game, they were down. Almost by 14. Doing that in the NFL is very difficult, especially for a quarterback like Walker, who maybe hasn't been put in those situations where he's been asked to do certain things. Lost one of his best weapons in Christian McCaffrey, but he also has DJ Moore. I think he got one target in the second half early, but I don't think he was targeted in the first half. I could be wrong. But I don't remember him catching a ball. I turned it off also when we were up by like 40. So what's
It's
the
not
stat
good,
line?
man.
What's the stat line?
For DJ Moore?
Yeah.
2 receptions for 24 yards. He did have 6 targets. But I'm pretty sure that, like you said, those came with Walker.
Yeah. So there was a glimmer of hope for DJ Moore there for a long time. Could it come back? I think it probably could. That might have been just a bad game. Everybody has those every now and then. But I don't know, man. Coop, you before the show, you mentioned a bunch of waiver wire pickups. Who are you looking at specifically?
Oh, I wanted to trash Baker for a minute if we got time.
Oh, we have time. We're in there for 40 minutes. We got at least 20 minutes worth. Yeah, Green Bay offered a lot of people a lot of things. They wanted – I don't think they were serious about a lot of things. They were just kind of throwing things out there just so it looked like they were trying. I think that's what Green Bay was doing. I bet there was something else behind that first-round pick.
I got no idea what Green Bay's doing. But
getting their ass beat is what they're doing.
The 2 best games DJ Moore's had this year were Tampa Bay and Atlanta, week 7 and 8. He saw 10 and 11 targets, 7 catches for 69 yards, 6 catches for 152. The only common theme in those 2 games was that it wasn't Baker Mayfield throwing him the ball. Baker comes back. DJ has a terrible game. I'm not saying that Baker Mayfield
played the whole first half. Baker didn't come out to the second half.
It doesn't matter. When Baker's on the field, DJ gets nothing. I mean, those first 6 games of the year when we were talking about you can drop him, just let him go. Give up on DJ Moore. It was because Baker was throwing him the ball. PJ Walker gets a start, and he's relevant again. I'm not saying PJ is better than Baker, but something has happened between these two. Baker's the kind of guy that will hold that grudge. He'll lose a game just to prove you wrong. And DJ Moore has said something to him along the way, and he's going to throw it to Terrence Marshall, and he's going to throw it to – is Laviska Shenault, isn't he in Carolina now? I mean, those are the type of guys that are going to get targets from Baker instead of DJ Moore. I think the correlation's too strong. I'm not a Baker fan anyway, and I don't want to start him if Baker becomes a starter again. With PJ Walker starting this week, go for it. 2 best games he's had all season were in 2 of Walker's starts. So PJ, if they're going to give PJ Walker the ball, then you can play DJ Moore and feel pretty good about getting wide receiver 3 numbers.
Yeah. Anyway, back to my question, Coop. You're mentioning, Coop is the waiver wire king. He's in and out of there multiple times a week, grabbing people, dropping people. I don't know if you were on here and heard his record of all of his leagues combined. He's lost 27-6 or something?
21. No, what was it? 21-6. Yeah, 21-6. 3 leagues. I think the biggest name is Jeff Wilson in Miami. I don't think we expected it to go, that transition to happen that fast, that smoothly.
I put in a claim for him.
Don't know if I'm gonna or not, but probably gonna split carries, but he looked good. He knows the offense. He came in right away. I think they're willing to let him be the workhorse and kind of keep Raheem Mostert as the second fiddle. They'll probably be pretty close in snap share, but I think Wilson's going to get a little more volume and actual touches.
Yeah, Jeff Wilson is definitely somebody that caught my eye down there. Can't remember the other name. Our waiver wire is bare. I will say that. You're kind of, pulling straws at that point unless something crazy happens. But he was one that, caught my eye. Here's a little good news for Baker, I guess, if you can call it. He said he had a buddy. Yeah, that's a good question, too. 4th row behind Panthers bench, started chanting, "We want Baker," and he went over to the crowd and asked him not to. Wouldn't expect that from him. Well, I would say you're not going to see a lot of bad behavior from Baker because he's trying to find another job somewhere. This is sort of like his, he wanted to get out of Cleveland so bad, and he landed there. Then all of a sudden, he's not playing. He's probably going to be picked up by another team. I mean, he might finish his career as a backup quarterback, but that's a pretty good person to have as your backup quarterback, to be honest with you. We've got people all over the league, like Chase Daniel is like the prototypical backup quarterback, has thrown like 24 passes in the NFL, has made $42 million. That's kind of what Baker's looking for at this point, I think. You can't blame the guy either. So that's probably what he's kind of going for. If I had my opinion. Talk about Nyheim Hines. What's his role?
What do you think, Dave? You like him in Buffalo?
No.
He's a bigger name in Buffalo.
I don't like it that he's in Buffalo. I have Devin Singletary. Give Devin Singletary the ball. We don't need Nyheim Hines. I think it's the exact same role he had in Indianapolis. I think he's the third down back. Buffalo, I feel like Buffalo always wanted Zach Moss to be the guy. I think Moss and Singletary came in at the same time, same year. And I felt like Moss always got the first try. That I think year one, he was the lead back. Year two, he was the starter. And then Singletary kind of took it over. I believe they're now in their third year. So I kind of look at it as, I'm not sure what Cook's role is going to be, but I would assume that Singletary is going to be the lead back, with Himes kind of being that third down feature, with Cook and maybe Singletary passing off. But it's Buffalo. They're not going to run the ball. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they want three backs that can do everything. So they're not tipping their hat on what a play call coming in is. And like you said, Josh Allen's probably still the RB1 there.
Yeah.
Is he going to be out for a few weeks, though?
No.
Coop?
Mm-mm.
Coop?
Allen. So they're still running tests. We don't know, right? We haven't heard the severity. This is the same injury that Matthew Stafford had when he was winning the Super Bowl last year. It's the same one he's playing with this year. We heard about
Josh Allen also had the same injury as a rookie and missed 4 games.
Yeah, did you see Josh Allen play as a rookie? I'd have benched his ass for any reason I could. This is a different Josh Allen.
You're right.
He also went out after that injury and threw the longest pass in the NFL in like 5 years.
That might be
69 and a half air yards.
More. I saw him grab his arm after he made a play, and it felt like one of those old pitching injuries that I would get all the time. And it's like you throw it, and then all of a sudden, like everything from your freaking forearm, top of your forearm, all the way down to your tricep, all around your arm, just freaking throbs on the inside of your elbow. And that's exactly what that is. That's a Tommy John surgery waiting to happen. It happens less in the NFL because they do throw it less, 50 times, 60 times a game if you're Josh Allen, but, and 1 time a week.
And I don't know the science behind it. I don't know if it's when you hit a certain velocity, if it's on every throw, if it's just the motion. I don't know.
I would assume, in baseball, it's overuse. In football, I know they put them on a pitch count in practices and things like that. They're not going to be overused in football. It's a combination of the speed in which the arm moves and the quickness in which it stops moving, and the weight of the football, and then the direction in which the arm's going, the direction in which your body's going. It has a lot to do with it. It's a big equation.
But if he tries to play with an injury, where is he limited? I guess is what I was saying. Is he not going to be able to throw it deep?
I would say deep ball.
Okay.
Then and probably the velocity.
Davis.
Yeah. Because the velocity behind his ball, it's incredible now, but it will take a hit as well if he decides to play.
I think that's where this injury, if he plays, he's going to be fine because they're going to give him the best of the best medicines, and he's not going to feel a thing during the game.
He'll get the
it's just going to be,
shot.
Yeah, it's just going to be, is he going to take a hit during the game that further worsens it? Or it's just
I don't know that a hit is going to do that. If he gets hit and hurts his arm, that's 2 different things. This is a non-contact type of injury. that is only going to be further complicated by more throwing. If he could throw the football and not have injury and not have pain, I'm sure he probably won't throw a ball until Thursday or Friday of this week, if I had to guess. So they're going to try to make a play.
But this isn't a quick recovery injury, regardless of what extent it is. They're not benching Josh Allen for the year.
Oh,
no.
So if
he won't go on any IR spot either.
If it's not going to get better in 3 weeks, then they're not going to sit him at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bro, this is a day after the season's over. You're going to hear, oh, Josh Allen went to so and so in whatever city and had surgery.
Yeah. What they need to do is start having more designed runs, because quarterbacks just are continually getting hurt while they're back there trying to pass the ball. So get him out of there. Just let him put his head down. It's a lot safer for him. Get up the field. Get me the rushing yards. Get me the rushing touchdowns. Don't share the fantasy points. That's what we need from Josh Allen to keep him safe.
It's for your
no,
safety,
just give it to Devin Singletary. He is pretty capable.
The doctor's like, listen, there's a guy that lives in Stanton who has you on his fantasy team. He really needs you to perform. We're not going to throw it this week at all. We're going to pull a Mac Jones. We're not going to throw it at all. We're going to go call Bill Belichick and see how he ran the plays. And we're just going to run the ball every time.
But on a serious note, Gabe Davis, I'm worried about. I don't know how good the guy is at football at this point. There's just too many clips and videos in his limited targets of him not being able to catch. And I'm getting really concerned. Like, I saw one, somebody was breaking it down. It was like another Gabe Davis clap. And it literally was. As the ball got closer to him, his hands went wider. And then he missed it. He was just clapping. There was no ball in between his hands. It was just a clap. And I've seen it a few times now. And that last play of the game was probably interference on Sauce Gardner. That was a 70-yard bomb right through his arms.
Oh, yeah, he should have got that.
Like, it brushed his numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about Gabe Davis. If he's not wide open downfield, it's not looking good for him.
Speaking of quarterbacks and injured receivers, does Herbert suck? I know what my wife would say. She would say yes. I don't think he sucks. I think having Allen out is a big discriminating factor on his performance, fantasy-wise. And Williams out too. You think about putting both those guys on the same team, on the same field, week in, week out, makes the quarterback's job a little bit easier. I mean, he's throwing to Josh Palmer. Who the hell is Josh Palmer? So, I don't think he sucks. I think, having those two guys out does hurt him. I would, if I have him on my fantasy team, my wife does, I might think about looking for a different option to give me 20 points a week on a standard league. Because he's just not doing it.
The biggest thing he hasn't done this year is run the ball. I think that's why his fantasy numbers don't look as good.
Is that a system thing, or is it just like a choice?
I think it's a defense thing, because their defense was supposed to be great, and they're all out for the year. I mean, they're dropping like flies. They're down Bosa. They're down the big J.C. Jackson signing. They just lost their Austin Johnson, their D tackle they signed in free agency. He's gone for the year. That defense can't stop anybody. And Austin Eckler refuses to actually take handoffs. He only wants dump offs. So
he's got himself on his fantasy team.
Or Justin Herbert is having to throw everything.
Yeah.
And just the game script that they're in isn't allowing him to run. He's thrown for 220 yards in every game this year. He's got 13 touchdowns to 5 picks, completing 66% of his passes. Nothing says bad quarterback to me at all. Mm-hmm. And like you said, he's doing it with Gerald Everett and Joshua Palmer. 0 defensive support and a running back that has more receiving yards than rushing yards.
Yeah. And we thought that might be the case coming in season 2 in terms for Eckler. All right, is it Michael Carter or James Robinson the rest of the season? I hope it's Michael Carter because I got it.
Oh.
I hope it's Michael Carter anyway. I don't know. I really don't. They're both in there quite a bit. I mean, I watched a little bit of the Jets game when I knew they were going to probably pull it out against the Bills. They were both in there in the few minutes I watched. I don't think you're going to have. It's kind of going to be a little bit like the Bears situation. I think one guy might have a great game, the other guy might not, and then the next week it's the opposite. I don't know if you could like rely on one heavily until it's for sure. Robinson's just got there a couple weeks ago, so you might need a little time to get acquainted with certain concepts. And you think about dropping. If you've played football before, you'll know if your offensive. We didn't play on a very complicated offense, but if you were an offensive lineman in our offense, you couldn't just step in and play right away without learning a lot of things beforehand. You think about the offense we ran our freshman year. That was pretty complicated for a high school offense. You couldn't just come in out of nowhere and pick it up in 2 weeks and expect to play consistently. Although it's a little different. They go through meetings and they go through walkthroughs and they practice every day, and it's their job. They should be able to pick up on it, but we're human. So it might take Robinson a little while to get acquainted with the playbook and do things of that nature. But right now it's a 50-50 shot on which one's going to perform on a certain day.
Yeah, I don't think we know yet. Like you said, their usage is almost identical. 12 carries to 13 carries, 2 catches to 1 catch. They each got in the end zone. It's too close to call for me right now.
Yeah. Our old friend Bob Dole from YouTube. Appreciate the revisit here, Bob. Hey, y'all, should I trade Lockett? I said it real country when I said that. Hey, y'all.
I thought you were going for country. That wasn't.
That was totally accidental. I did not mean to do that. Hey, y'all, should I trade Lockett and Edwards-Helaire for Taylor and Keenan Allen?
No. Don't you dare.
No, I'd try to leave it.
I traded for Taylor, and I have buyer's remorse. Don't do it.
Drafted Taylor number 1, and I wish I drafted McCaffrey instead.
That's different. Don't trade for him.
Locked and subbed for life. That's what we like to hear. Tell your friends about us. Get them to sub too.
I'm not sure if Keenan Allen's coming back.
I don't think.
I don't either.
I've heard a couple things. I'm just saying, like the Taylor thing.
Yeah, and Lockett's wide receiver 9 on the year.
Yeah, Lockett and DK solid starts. Now, I didn't think that going in. I tried to sell DK every chance I got at the beginning of the year, and nobody would take it. And I'm glad they did.
This happens every year with Tyler Lockett. Every year, we're like, he's probably a wide receiver 30. He'll do a little bit.
He don't have the measurables.
Wide receiver 10. Wide receiver 12.
Stud.
It's just because he doesn't have the measurables. He doesn't look like the other ones. He's not built ginormous and doesn't have huge hands and arm strength, and he's got speed, and he just makes do with what he's given. And
how do we keep missing it?
Geno's figured it out. And that's another thing, too. He's like, don't draft the stupid Seahawks receivers because Geno Smith sucks. Drew Lock sucks. Fellas, Geno's a couple wins away from being in an MVP talk.
I don't know about that, but it'd be cool.
Yeah. Comeback player. He's got a good shot.
For sure. For sure. That's not even a question. But yeah. No, that's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, Lockett the last 3 years. Over 1,000 yards, 70+ catches, and 8 or more touchdowns in all 3 seasons.
Wait, did you get him and DJ Moore mixed up?
No, I wish. Maybe that was my problem preseason. Yeah, I was touting the wrong one.
Speaking of Geno Smith, he said this trade is on the table as well. Carr for Geno, straight up.
What's the league? What are we talking here? PPR, Dynasty, what?
I'm assuming it'll be just a regular standard league.
Unless
Probably
it's
PPR.
Dynasty, where this could be Geno's only year. I think that would be surprising, but it could be his only one. Outside of that format, I take Geno over Carr.
12-man PPR, he said. Full PPR.
Yeah, for this season.
Make that trade. What's your record, Bob, if you don't mind me asking?
Because I feel like I have Devontae.
If you're winning with Carr.
Yeah,
Might be able
but
to
Carr's
win.
going to get you. He's going to get you 250 and 2 touchdowns, and Devontae Adams is going to have 150 and 2 touchdowns. Like, I mean, Carr's going to get you. What does it say? He has a low floor, but and a low ceiling, or a high floor and a low ceiling. Where Geno,
He's 4 and 5. Make the trade.
Yeah, Geno might pop off for 303 scores.
Yeah,
4 and 5. Make
risk,
trade.
but
You're not out of it yet. Probably. I think I'm 5 and 4 maybe, and I'm in the mix of things. So you're 2 weeks away from probably, getting close to a playoff spot. You're going to have to make some moves to get there. That might be one that you might need to make. I'd do it if I was in your shoes. Wouldn't think twice about it. I might even try to tack on something else to get something different in return. He's in 5th place right now. I'm assuming, do you guys take the top 4? I know in ours we have divisions. It's what, top 2 in each division?
No, it's top 4 overall.
Top 4 overall?
Divisions are for scheduling purposes.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs, another topic on the show last week. Talked about him quite a bit. Has he come back down to earth? Defense realized they don't have to worry about Carr. Abdullah getting a little bit more work. Yeah, top 4 overall. Yeah, make that trade, big dog. It'd probably help you out, put you over the top, get you in that top 4. Try to get something little something extra added onto that trade if you could. I don't know what you could ask for, but there's plenty of wide receivers going around that can get you some top tier points. So hit us up if you have any questions about that. I don't know, man. I think Josh Jacobs is solid. I think Abdullah getting work is probably a number of different things. They're not trying to push Jacobs out. I doubt that. It's probably just the game plan for that specific week.
Yeah, it's not like he's getting a ton of work. He's just getting a little bit in the passing game.
And that's what he's always done.
They played from behind 2 weeks in a row. I mean, New Orleans shut them out. They only had 13 rushing attempts against the Saints when they threw the ball 39 times. And then that game to Jacksonville, 19 rushing attempts as a team, it is part of the problem with Jacobs. I don't think he's less of a runner suddenly or that defense has figured it out. It's that the other team's defense has figured out how to stop the Raiders. They're 2-6. It's hard to have an elite running back when the team has a negative game script. The only time that works out is if it's an Eckler or a Leonard Fournette, where they're just catching dump off after dump off in those late game situations.
Yeah. Draft guys on good teams, pick up guys on good teams. That usually works out. The Jets happen to be a good team. What the hell's going on there? And they're not even using Elijah Moore.
Their defense is good. Breece Hall was good. I think the jury's still out on if they're a good team or not.
They beat the Bills without Breece Hall.
Yeah, but Josh Allen was terrible. Which give their defense due. They made him terrible.
What if he was hurt the whole game, Coop?
He put up a decent week fantasy-wise.
Yeah, but what if
he's throwing a lot? He's throwing a lot of picks this year and pickable balls. That's an actual technical term, right? Pickable
that sounds
balls.
like it should be your pickable balls.
That is a great team name.
Yep.
It's mine next year. I have a new
pickable balls, fellas. Oh, that's so good. We need to do a show on. We need to do a segment on just cool fantasy football names that are original, not like it's auto generated from a website or something that you stole
with my homies or anything.
Yeah, like mine's Taylor Park Boys. That's pretty cool. I made that up. I'm sure
Allen's got 8 picks this season, averaging 1 a game.
You get that on them big jobs, man. When you're a gunslinger, Brett Favre had a ton. He also stole a ton. We won't talk about that though, but
we should. It needs to be talked about more. But
I agree. I don't know why it's not talked about more. I don't know. I'm out of it. Anyway, I don't know about Rachaad White. I really don't.
He just had a season high in carries. I was actually looking at it earlier tonight.
I know Derek had him, and That's one of the guys that we had toward the end of the matchup. It was the garbage bowl is what I'm going to call that game. Both of us were depleted completely, and I somehow came out on top. But Rashad White was one of his last players to play. He was ahead, and I was kind of worried. I was like, man, what happened? I mean, what might happen? So, just keep an eye on it. I don't know if it's this week or next week. Brady might get some swag back, and he might, take them on a run. They're in first place now, so you never know, man. Surya,
you're starting to see a little bit of shift. I think week by week he's taking a little more snap share from Fournette.
Yeah,
I don't know if he takes 60% of it, but they were very close in usage this last week.
All right, Surya from YouTube. Appreciate the comment, man. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and do that now. We live stream every week. This week we're transitioning to a Tuesday just to see how much better it does. So far, it's about the same. Just to let you guys know. But should I trade Andrews, Jamar, and Amon-Ra for Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, and Miles Sanders? He's 2-7 currently, and he's trying not to get last place. I'm curious. Usually, in most leagues, last place means you might get first pick overall the next season, which is not a bad thing. But is there a certain thing in your league where the last place team has to do things? Like the Waffle House
Tattoo
Challenge?
League?
I don't know. I would never be in a tattoo league. I would do the Waffle House Challenge. Sounds like it'd be a good time.
I don't know. I've never finished last place in the fantasy league.
I don't think I have either.
I've come far from winning all of them. Don't get that statement wrong, but I've never finished dead last. So I might throw my hat into a tattoo league.
He said he's pretty sure there's a dare. That's open to interpretation. But anyway, should he make this trade? He's 2-7. We've already talked about DJ Moore a little bit on this show. Today, we talk about him every week. It's a running joke or a running segment anyway. Josh Weaver, one of our faithful and loyal listeners, brings it up just about every week, and him and Coop have a conversation about it. Miles Sanders, solid. Dave is heavy on the computer looking up stats, making decisions. You can tell by his face. It's his thinking face if you guys don't know as he changes it. But Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, and Miles Sanders coming in. A little bit more information is coming in from Surya. He says, I have Herbert, Pierce, Walker, A.J. Brown, Waddle, Hawkinson. Seems to be a good pick right now. And Amon-Ra. What should I do? Give us a minute to decipher. We can't talk.
Why can't I have these guys? Why can't that be my team? Everybody always has
How's that team 2-7?
How many teams are in your league? Is it an 8-team league? Because then you could be 2-7 in an 8-team league.
Because I have Pierce and Walker, and they make life very easy right now.
A.J. Brown, too.
Yeah. And Waddle, he's wide receiver 4.
I could see Hawkinson not doing much for you up to this point, but last week had a hell of a day.
Amon-Ra's been hurt, but you could plug anybody into flex with that lineup and be competitive every week.
It's 8-man. Talent is spread out pretty thick. Man, that's just some bad luck. Y'all need to get more people in your league. That would be probably first place in our league right now, I would say.
I would not make that trade.
I don't think I would either. I would keep Jamar. He's coming back. Andrews is going to be Mark Andrews. When it comes to playoff time, when it comes to getting down to the nitty-gritty, if he comes back healthy, he's going to get a boatload of targets with, the receiving. They brought Deshaun Jackson back this week and put him in a uniform and threw balls to him. Andrews is going to be your flex. I would even put Hawkinson and Andrews in the same lineup. He has no chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, even without a chance at the playoffs, Andrews should be back super soon.
You got 8 weeks left.
Amon-Ra already came back. He's just kind of working his way to full strength.
He said he can't wait for people to come back. I can see that. I wouldn't give away Andrews. Maybe throw in Jamar and Amon-Ra for.
Did you swap Hawkinson in place of Andrews?
Yeah, that would be cool. I would do it then probably. If you had a tight end on your waiver wire, which I'm assuming that Amen League you probably have Greg D down there, or Hayden Hurst or somebody that you could fill in for a little bit until Andrews comes back to help you win. You're in a tough
How
position,
long is
man.
Andrews out? He's just got to buy this.
Yeah.
But he
Just
did
a
not
bye.
play this past
Okay.
week.
Yeah.
So a counter with, like we said, counter with Hawkinson. Yeah, so your pickups at tight end would be somebody like Hayden Hurst, getting some time. Greg Dulcich from the Broncos, if he's available. Tyler Conklin in New York. I'm just rambling off the top of my head. I haven't looked at scores. Am I doing a pretty good job so far?
Hurst and Conklin are both on bye, so that's zero help.
No, my bad, dude. I mean, that's 1 week.
I mean,
I'm
my
roster
favorite roller coaster ride's Taysom Hill. I mean, he got me.
That's
he
not
got
a
me
bad
1
option.
point.
If Taysom Hill is available, you're selling out anyway to try to get a couple wins.
He might get you.
We talked about
2
Kamara
points.
probably not being available for the Saints, and there you go. They got to move the ball somehow. He's their Swiss Army knife.
And take this with a grain of salt. But Cole Kmet.
He said Njoku's available.
Cole Kmet has had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks.
And the Bears have looked good. Schultz and Walker.
Oh, pick up Schultz. He's
Yeah,
finally
Schultz
healthy.
is probably the pick there.
Yeah, Schultz is the answer. And just for shits and giggles, pick up Cole Kmet too.
No, you don't need 3 tight ends. That's terrible advice.
Don't listen to my Cole.
Having 2 is questionable.
Yeah, but one of them's Andrews. That's basically another wide receiver. That's a flex spot for you if you need it. You're talking about Darren Waller, I'm assuming. Yeah. So between Schultz and Waller, you picking Schultz still?
Yeah, right now.
Schultz it is. Throw Hawkinson in the trade. Pick up Schultz. See if you can get that accepted. That's a good question. Says if you have to win now and you're afraid of Kamara news, would you trade Kamara and Curtis Samuel for Cooper and Montgomery?
Yes, because you're going to get Deshaun Watson in 2 weeks, throwing Damari Cooper, and Cooper should be more valuable than with Jacoby Brissett. And you're basically just saying David Montgomery's going to get more points than a suspended Kamara. So,
and on that note, again, we can bring up Njoku too as part of an option for him to pick up instead of Schultz.
I thought he was hurt.
Premise alone, he didn't play last week. I don't know if he's still hurt.
I thought it was like an ankle or a knee.
I'm getting it right now. He plans to play Sunday against the Dolphins. He was ruled out week 8 due to a high ankle sprain suffered week 7. High ankle sprains, man, they can last 2 months. It's the only reason I would say Schultz, he's 100% healthy, and Njoku's got a Q, and you only need it for 1 week. Rest of the season, I might make that switch. Watson coming back,
and if Njoku's
healthy.
If Njoku's on the bench now or on the waiver wire now, he more than likely will probably be available next week as well when you need to drop him.
Yeah,
we're going with the surefire thing, healthy 100% with Dak Prescott as his quarterback. Schultz is probably a better confident pick. I wouldn't say
safer play this week.
So Weaver had a fight in his league about that trade. It got vetoed. Were you part of the trade, Weaver?
See, that's where I don't like that. Why would this trade get vetoed? Just because people, I think they value names and I don't know. What is it? Alvin Kamara? Is he even a top 20 running back this year? I mean, Curtis Samuel's probably a top 30 wide receiver. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this would get vetoed unless somebody's just butthurt because they didn't
They
get
probably are.
Kamara.
Kamara is 13th
Unless
on the
I can
season.
see, the only thing I can see is if you have a rookie in your league that has no idea what they're doing, and they don't know that Kamara is getting ready to go on the chopping block, then you can be like, but that's just a text message to the dude like, hey, you need to think about this. Kamara's getting ready to.
But even that, like, that's not even a bad trade.
No, even with all of them healthy.
No, like
Or no,
The
I wouldn't say
highest
healthy.
ranked player in that trade positionally is Amari Cooper. He's wide receiver 11 on the year.
really.
Yeah. If
We
we had
tell
vetoes,
him to unveto it. That's dumb.
yeah, tell him quit being a bunch of pansies. Tell him the Trifecta Sports Podcast said quit being a bunch of pansies and stop vetoing trades. And it's two parties involved. As long as there's obviously no collusion going on there. Cooper and Montgomery aren't going to help a bad team win the league.
Bunch of scared little boys. That's what they are.
Tell them we sent you. Oh, they may do that. My bad. But yeah, man. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show. Kind of back and forth. It's really helpful when we have comments on the stream to help us drive conversations because we don't plan anything when we come on the show. We probably should, but that's no fun.
It's your show. We're just hosting.
Yeah,
It's your all show.
it's an hour and a half of our day, of our week, of the how many hours in a week I have. Not 24 times 7. I don't know what that number is.
This is 24/7, Frank. It never stops. I never stop thinking about it.
I'm going to turn off these lights here in a second, and I'm going to go directly that direction, and I'm going to go to sleep as soon as this is over.
And you're gonna dream about the Trifecta Sports Podcast.
I'm going to dream about getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going to baseball practice. He said, God, my show is good. It is a good show. It's a great show. You help run it. We appreciate it, Weaver. You're getting a hat whenever we get 100 subscribers. That's for damn sure.
If
You're
he
getting a
doesn't
hat.
get one,
I'm gonna
he should
deliver- I'm gonna deliver
it to his
absolutely
house.
crush us.
I'm gonna call you out so hard, Frank. If you
I'm
don't send
delivering it
him
to his
one.
house. We got to get to 100 first. Get us to 100, Weaver. Talk to your friends. Send us out there. I would love to have some down-home arguments on this show about fantasy football with those guys that veto the trades.
You know what, Frank? Maybe we're too good. Maybe Weaver doesn't tell his friends about us, so they don't hear our fantasy advice.
You're probably right.
You know,
We're like his little pocket show.
Yeah.
You got the big
You
fancy
guys-
ones that everybody knows about. Nobody knows about us yet.
You guys reach out to me on social media, throw me some DMs because I also withhold certain fancy information because these guys are in my league.
why? Why? I just told you I'm gonna
No.
start tanking.
I just told him that
I really don't.
I told him my waiver claims already, Dave. He's going to go
That's-
take them.
That's just dumb.
He's way below me on the waiver claim board anyway. He's not getting
Yeah.
one top pick.
I
don't
just
even know-
wait until they clear and then go so I don't waste a claim anymore.
But anyway, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the show. As always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're watching at a later date, hit us up. I don't know if we're going to be on Mondays or Tuesdays from here on out. I'll have to look back at the activity. But we did have an increased number at the beginning. Kind of died down at the end, but it's 10:50, and it's daylight savings time, and people were tired. And the election stuff's over with, so they're not on Facebook anymore. So hope you got a chance to go out there and vote today. Democracy is the greatest thing in the world. I hope your party won, whoever you voted for. Don't really care. But we love fantasy football. So hashtag, I don't know. I'm leaving the show.